Wide receivers got your higher on Keenan Allen against Seattle. Wide receiver 19. 9 spots higher than the experts. That's actually a pretty big discrepancy.
Yeah, my guess is it's injury related, and if and when he gets confirmed in, I bet he rises a bit, but I think I'll still be higher than the ECR, locking this guy in as a absolute must start. And that's why I wanted to put him on here for anybody who has questions about Keenan Allen. This guy's been top 12 for 5 straight seasons as a fantasy wide receiver, 100 catches in all those years. He did play in 78 of 81 games until this season. I know that doesn't help you right now. You're all probably seething as Keenan Allen owners like, fuck off, I don't care about the past. But 1,100 plus yards and all those, he was the pinnacle of fantasy consistency. He would average over 10 targets a game the last 3 years, and especially had a great rapport with Justin Herbert. So I just, all that to say is in an easy matchup against Seattle, cakewalk, 5th most points allowed in the league, 7th most points themselves, like a good shootout style script. I think Keenan Allen is an absolute no-brainer if he's in. Put him in your lineups. Do not think twice.
Brandon Aiyuk, who blew up on my bench last week playing against Kansas City, wide receiver 23 spots higher than the experts. Not a huge difference, but I feel like you just got to be a little higher on him than we were since we had all those points burning holes in our pocket on our bench. What do you think?
100%. You see 24 points on the bench. You see a wide receiver 3 finish, and you wonder why it happened. 11 targets, 8 and 83. Because they got down and they had to throw. The same exact reason earlier why I said Jimmy Garoppolo is a nice start at quarterback this week. And that makes Aiyuk against a team giving up the 6th most points to fantasy wide receivers on the year, the Chiefs, and a script that should probably require them to air it out to keep pace with this explosive, leading the league in fantasy point and total points offense of the Chiefs. I think Aiyuk lights it up yet again, becomes a must start. Let's not make the same mistake twice. We saw the right script. He can get it done. So let's put him right back into our lineups and not think twice.
Michael Gallup, you've been on him for a while, but this is the time you're counting because he's playing Detroit. Wide receiver 29, 4 spots higher than the experts.
Exactly. Last time him and Dak were together and he was the clear-cut number 2 receiver. It was 2 seasons ago. Finishes the wide receiver 18 in fantasy, was top 24 in over half of his week, 60% of the time he was. So yes, I get that he hasn't had that clear-cut blow-up day. Really, only CeeDee Lamb has had any decent days, though, with Cooper Rush. I wonder and expect that this offense, again, Kellen Moore, Dak Prescott, has been a fantasy factory. And what better way to get that fantasy factory churning again than a matchup against the Lions, the 2nd most points to wide receivers, the most points overall to offenses in general. And yeah, maybe Dak has to shake off a little rust early, but I think this team gets it going often. It just peppers all the receivers, including Gallup. Remember last year, 2nd most total yards, most total points, 2nd most passing yards. That's been consistent. Top 2 in passing yards every year. Dak and Kellen Moore have been together for a full season. I think they pick up right up where they left off. Dak goes for a nice smooth 350, and Michael Gallup has a nice 90, 100 of that. Locked in play for me this week.
Lower Alan Lazard at the Commanders, wide receiver 25, 7 below the experts. I feel like 25 might be a little high. I cannot believe anyone has him as their wide receiver 18.
That's what doesn't make sense to me, because it's really not that I dislike Lazard himself in a vacuum.
No, me either.
9, 8 targets the last 3 weeks, getting pretty good volume, 15, 12, and 16 fantasy points, all been solid. In fact, 17, 21, 10. And now he gets the easiest matchup that he's had all year. Washington's been giving up the most points to wide receivers in terms of schedule adjusted.
So why don't we like him more?
I think it's just like everything lines up okay for him as a play. I just think it's that I like everybody else ahead of him. I'd rather play Aiyuk, Keenan Allen, Lockett, Sutton, maybe Sutton with a quarterback controversy.
I don't know. I actually would probably rather have Lazard than Sutton.
I probably would too, and I might need to adjust that. But like Olave, T. Higgins, like these are some guys that are neck and neck with Alan Lazard according to the ECR, and I just don't buy that. So it's less about Lazard. He has kind of emerged as the clear-cut, steady guy for Aaron Rodgers in a great matchup. Like he's probably in your lineup, but it's to say wide receiver 25, not top like fringe wide receiver 1. Consider him more of a steady wide receiver 2 compared to the ECR. Just given the fact that this offense too has been like, if they can pound the ball on Houston and just bleed the clock and destroy these guys, which they might very well do, it could be a low volume day for Lazard. Sammy Watkins is expected back at this point. I don't know. I mean, it's tough because I actually kind of like the experts' rankings of most of these receivers. I struggled to find a guy that I felt was clear-cut lower. Lazard just popped at like 7 spots lower. I was like, oh, damn, I am lower than I really expected to be. on Allen Lazard. So maybe I have to look at it because I feel like I just made a case for him as being a great play. I don't really have much against
Yeah, I know.
him.
You kind of talked me off my high horse there.
Right? Exactly. I really don't have much of a reason to not play Lazard point. So I don't know. I'm okay with it. It's just that it's more so I like a lot of guys ahead of him that are ranked below him.
Brandon Cooks, this is a guy that has been really underwhelming, in my opinion, this year. We were like steady Brandon Cooks. He really has not been consistently great. Going at Vegas, wide receiver 26, 4 below the experts. You've been disappointed with Cooks this year?
Of course I have. I mean, the guy last year saw more target volume, steadier usage, more top 24 games than both T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. Like, he was a just rock solid, you don't even have to think about it type of player last year. So far this year, 12-7, 3, 15-4. So we're not seeing that like game-changing ceiling we saw pop every now and again with Davis Mills last year. And we're seeing some real just disappearing action.
Yeah, just like bad games. This was the guy, he was the backbone of my receiving core. I was like, I'm going to get Cooks and I'll build around him because he's going to have this high floor and I won't have to worry about it. And it's just been a real disappointment.
And what's kind of concerning about it is 12, 10, 7, 7, 6. It's like those target share. It's been there. He's seeing the looks. He's just doing nothing with it. And I don't know if that's the play calling. Don't know if it's just bad targets from Davis Mill. Probably a combination of the both. But even in a decent matchup against the Raiders, again, there's a lot of good receiver matchups this week. I'm playing Cooks where I have him just because I have a lot of guys on bye. So if you're desperate with bye weeks this week, which most of us are, Cooks is probably in your lineup. But it's more so like DraftKings-wise. I'm not going to be forcing him in, not really looking his way at all. It's just surprising. I wanted to highlight how surprisingly underwhelming Cooks has been.
He has been. Jerry Jeudy going against the Jets, wide receiver 36. Yeah. Well, I will say the difference is I didn't believe in the Broncos receivers at the beginning of the year. I did believe in Brandon Cooks. Jerry Jeudy against the Jets, wide receiver 36, 5 below the experts. Yeah. Gross.
It's bad. He's had 2 good games out of 6, and the bad ones have been bad. Wide receiver 101, 87, 51, 42.
Triple digits.
Exactly. Not what you're hoping for. And even his highs, 18 points, 13 points, like, yeah, okay, but it's not a ceiling that's like, okay, you got to have him in just for the blow up because it might happen.
Not exactly the Jamar Chase ceiling.
No, not at all. Exactly. So do you really want to start any of these Broncos players? Like Sutton's been at least a like guaranteed 11 targets a week, and even he feels kind of gross. So whether it's Russell Wilson, it could even be worse somehow with Brett Rypien. Maybe.
Hey, by the way, he is the nephew of Mark Rypien, who won the Super Bowl for the then Redskins over the Bills.
There you go.
When the Bills went to their 4 Super Bowls in a row, the second one they lost was to Mark Rypien, uncle of Brett Rypien.
I'll tell you this about Jerry Jeudy too, is I've seen him get cut in some leagues, and he's 88% rostered. I'm not putting in bids.
And you're not even like trying to get him.
No, it's honestly kind of like Allen Robinson, but with less fanfare at this point. Like very,
just, you know, the Robinson. I cut Robinson. Nobody has been picking him up on waivers.
Exactly. Nobody wants him. Nobody wants him. I don't think anybody wants Jeudy. This has been a good secondary too. Like, it used to be you pepper anybody against the Jets. They've been damn good at limiting receivers. Sauce Gardner, I think he'll probably be on Sutton, but even their number 2 and 3, their safety, but everything's been solid for the Jets. I love the Jets defense. I really just don't want to start anybody in this game unless it's the Broncos defense or the Jets defense.
I'm surprised they didn't throw this. I'm surprised this Broncos Jets game isn't like Sunday Night Football.
Right. Seriously.
All right. We're going to have to fly through these. Hail Marys, Wan'Dale Robinson. We know how you feel about him at Jacksonville, 25% roster. Donovan Peoples-Jones, blast from the past. At the Ravens, 19% rostered. You want to say anything about those guys?
I love Wan'Dale. I mean, I think he's an electric player, the MVP of Giants training camp. I chuckle every time I say it because I don't know how much weight that holds. But when you watch the guy play, he is zipping all over the field. Saw 35% targets on his routes run. The issue was he only played about 30% of the snaps, only ran 11 routes, but he saw 4 targets on him. So I think that just continues to increase as he becomes a full-time player. Wouldn't be shocked at all to see 8 to 12 targets a game for a very electric guy, plus 9.3 average depth of target. It wasn't just like Rondale Moore dink and dunks. It was getting this guy going down the field. So I love Wan'Dale Robinson. I love Donovan Peoples-Jones against the Baltimore team. Very susceptible to the deep ball, giving up the most points to wide receivers. And similar to like the running back plays, I like this guy as like, yeah, you could use him this week, but especially when Deshaun Watson, one of the best deep passers in the league, comes back, his ceiling is just going to only go up and up and up through the season. So big fan of Peoples-Jones as a 1-week plugin that you can then stash on your bench for when Watson comes back.
Guys, we're watching, obviously, the Dallas wide receivers in the wake of Dak returning. You got your Gallups, obviously. You got your CeeDee Lambs, all that good stuff. Also, Taylor Heineke's target tree in Washington. We're keeping an eye on that.
What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.